Listen to me. Everybody in this room got skill. You've been blessed with talent. Some of you can sing. Some of you can run. Some of you can write. Some of you can write. Some of you can build things with your hand. Some of you can calculate numbers in your like a machine. Skill is a gift, but let me tell you something. Skill without will is nothing. Skill will get you started, but will is what keeps you going when you're tired. Will is what wakes you up at 4 a.m. when your body says to stay in bed. Will is what makes you keep grinding when everybody else quits. Will is the difference between the people who dream and the people who dream. See, talent is overrated. You think the people at the top got there just because of skill? No, they got there because when it hurt, they kept pushing. When doors slammed in their faces, they knocked again. When life said no, their willpower screamed back, I don't stop until I win. You gotta ask yourself right now, do I just have skill or do I have the will? Because skill makes you shine, but will makes you unstoppable. Skill may open the door, but will is what keeps you in the room. Skill gets you applause, but will get you respect. So today I challenge you. Don't just be skilled, be willing. Be willing to stay late. Be willing to sacrifice. Be willing to suffer a little for your dream. Because skill makes you talented, but will makes you a champion. At the end of the day, skill might get you noticed, but will get you remembered. Listen to me carefully. Skill is a gift, but will is a choice. Everybody walking around this planet got something inside them, some type of ability, some type of gift. Some people are born with a beautiful voice. Some people can run faster than the average person. Some people can pick up a ball and dominate. Some people can pick up a pen and write words that inspire millions. Skill is a blessing, yes. But here's the thing, skill alone don't make champion. So you didn't choose your skill. You were born with it, handed it. Maybe you developed it a little, but that's not enough. The world is filled with talented people who never went anywhere, filled with skilled people who never reached their full potential. Why? Shaw, why? Because skill is a gift, but will, that's a decision you have to make every single day. You don't wake up with willpower in your DNA. You don't inherit it like you inherit your eye color or your height. Will is something you have to decide, moment after moment, when you feel like quitting, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like taking the easy road. Will is when you look at the alarm clock at 4:30 a.m., your body's screaming for more sleep, and you say, oh no, I made a choice, I will get up. I will chase my dream. I will not let comfort rob me of my destiny. That's will. See, skill is what gets people to clap for you. People see you run fast, they cheer. People see you score, they cheer. People see you create something beautiful, they clap. But let me tell you, clapping don't get you champs. Clapping don't pay the bills. Clapping don't build legacies. It's your will. The grind, the sacrifice, the late nights, the lonely hours when nobody sees you. That's what creates greatness. And that ain't a gift. That's a choice. I know some of you right now think talent is everything. You're sitting there believing that because you're skilled, because you've been blessed, life owes you something. But let me wake you up. Talent without will is wasted. There are people with half your talent, half your skill, but twice your will, and they're going to pass you. They're going to take your spot. They're going to win the race because while you were depending on your gift, they were depending on their grind. And the grind always beats the gift when the gift doesn't want to work. Let me paint this picture for you. Two athletes walk into the same gym. One of them is naturally talented, been good since he was young. He can jump high, run fast, barely practices, but still looks good. The other one, not as skilled, doesn't have the same natural talent, but every morning he's the first in the gym. Every night, he's the last to leave. He puts in hours, he studies the game, he trains his body, he trains his mind. Now fast forward 10 years, who's going to dominate? It won't be the one who had the gift but never made the choice. It'll be the one who may not have had the same talent, but made the decision to outwork everybody in the room. That's will. You got to stop living like skill is enough. Skill is a spark, but will is the fire. Skill will take you to the audition, but will get you the role. Skill might get you into the room, but will keep you there. Skill is that first impression, but will is what makes sure you don't fade into the background. You got to choose to have will. Every single day when life hits you, and trust me, it will. Skill won't be enough to hold you. You can't skill your way out of heartbreak. You can't skill your way out of rejection. You can't skill your way out of failure. The only thing that's going to get you back on your feet when life knocks you down is will. That voice inside you that says, I don't care how bad it hurts. I don't care how many times I fall. I don't care what it costs me. I will keep moving forward. That's what separates the people who make history from the people who disappear. Skill is external. It's what people see. Will is internal. It's what only you know about yourself. People don't see you waking up early. People don't see you studying when everyone else is at the party. People don't see you grinding when everybody else is chilling. They only see the results later, but you know the truth. The results didn't come from the gift. They came from the choice. The problem with so many of you is you're waiting for motivation to come. You're waiting for the right moment, the right feeling, the right opportunity. But will is not about waiting. Will is about deciding. Will is about saying, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to do it. Will is not emotional. Will is not conditional. Will is not dependent on the weather, your mood, or whether people clap for you. Will is discipline. Will is commitment. Will is sacrifice. You think I'm standing here talking to you because I was born with something special? No, I made a choice. I made a decision to keep going when I had nothing. I made a decision to study when I didn't feel like it. I made a decision to work on my craft day in and day out when nobody even knew my name. Skill didn't bring me here, will did. And I need you to understand, if you don't make the same decision, your skill's going to waste away. Every single day you have to wake up and choose will because skill fades. Skill gets rusty if you don't use it. Skill only shines when it's polished, and the polishing is done with willpower, the hunger to get better, the hunger to not settle, the hunger to not let your gift die in your hands. So when you think about your life, I want you to ask yourself, am I just gifted or am I willing? Because the gift might give me a head start, but the will is what's going to help me cross the finish line. When that finish line comes, the world won't remember you for how skilled you were. They'll remember you for how much you willed yourself to keep going, even when the odds were stacked against you. Everybody in this room got some kind of talent. Let's be real. You wouldn't even be where you are if you didn't have some type of gift. Talent is what gets you noticed in the beginning. Talent is what makes your teacher, your coach, your boss, your friends, or even your family say, yo, you special, you different. Talent puts you on the radar. Talent might get you the opportunity. Talent might give you the spotlight for a moment. But let me be crystal clear. Talent alone won't keep you in the game. Talent is only enough to get you started. It's will that keeps you going when everything inside of you says stop. I've seen so many people with crazy talent disappear because they thought talent was enough. Or they thought the fact that they could sing or run or throw or write or talk or build, that somehow that was going to carry them through. But life don't work like that. Life don't care about your talent. Life is going to test you. Life is going to throw obstacles in your way. And in that moment, when the road gets hard, talent will only get you so far. The ones who keep moving, the ones who keep grinding, the ones who refuse to quit, they don't make it because they're the most talented. They make it because they got the will. I remember back in the day, people used to look at me and say, you got a gift, man. You can speak. You can move people. You got this talent. But let me tell you something. Talent didn't get me out of being homeless. Talent didn't put food on the table when I was struggling. Talent didn't give me a degree after 12 years of failure. It was will. It was the decision to keep going when it felt easier to quit. It was the discipline to show up even when I didn't want. I did was the determination to say, I will not stop until I win. That's what kept me going. You ever seen somebody with less talent than you pass you up? You know they're not as gifted. You know they're not as skilled. And you sit there asking yourself, how in the world did they make it? And I did. I'll tell you how, because while you were depending on your talent, they were depending on their will. They kept practicing when you took the day off. They kept studying when you said you were tired. They kept showing up when you made excuses. They may not have started as strong as you, but they finished stronger because they refused to quit. That's the difference. Talent is the invitation. Talent opens the door, but will is what keeps you inside the house. Talent might get you the job, but will is what gets you the promotion. Talent might put you in the game, but will is what makes sure you finish the season. Talent will get people to clap for you, but will is what makes them respect you. And listen, talent fades if you don't keep sharpening it. You could be talented today, but if you stop working, if you stop pushing, if you stop grinding, that talent is going to rust. Somebody else with less natural ability, but more willpower is going to catch you. They're going to pass you. They're going to pass you. They're going to take the spot you thought belonged to you. Why? Because willpower don't fade. Willpower grows every single time you choose to push through instead of giving up. Willpower gets stronger the more you use it. Think about a runner. Natural speed will help you in the first 100 meters. That's talent. But a marathon? That's will. Anybody can sprint for a short distance, but it takes grit, endurance, and determination to finish the whole race. Life ain't a sprint, it's a marathon. And in a marathon, talent might get you out of the blocks quick, but it's will that keeps you running when your legs are heavy, when your chest is burning, when your body says stop. The finish line doesn't belong to the fastest starter. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit. I know people right now who had all the talent in the world, but they didn't have the will to keep going, and now they're stuck. They peaked early. They thought because they were gifted, success was guaranteed. They thought talent meant they didn't have to work as hard as everybody else. And now they're watching somebody else, somebody with half the ability, live the life they dreamed of. You know why they dreamed? Know why? Because that other person had will. They didn't rely on the start. They relied on the finish. Don't you dare think talent is enough. Don't you dare think because people told you you're special that the world is just going to hand you something. The world don't care about your talent unless you back it up with willpower. No, the world don't care how gifted you are if you don't show up consistently. The world don't care about your potential if you don't turn it into production. Talent is natural, but will is intentional. Talent is what you were given, but will is what you choose. Every single day, you got to choose to keep going. Every single day, you got to choose to push yourself when you don't feel like it. Every single day, you got to choose discipline over comfort, sacrifice over excuses, consistency over laziness. That's what keeps you going when talent runs out. And let me tell you, talent will run out. Talent will get tired. Talent will get frustrated. Talent will get discouraged. Talent will whisper to you, or maybe this isn't for you, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should quit, maybe it's too hard. But will, that voice inside that says, I'm not stopping, I'm not giving up, I'm not backing down. That voice will carry you when talent wants to give up. You gotta decide what type of person you wanna be. Are you going to be somebody who started strong but faded because you depended on your gift? Or are you going to be somebody who finishes strong because you chose willpower every single day? It's easy to start. Anybody can start. But finishing belongs to the ones with will. Skill may open doors, but will keeps you inside the room. I need you to catch this because too many of you are celebrating too early. You get excited because your talent got you noticed. You're hyped because your skill got you into a room that a lot of people can't get into. Man. You're smiling because you got the job, you got the position, you got the opportunity. But listen to me, you can't celebrate too long because getting inside is not the same as staying inside. The world is filled with people who had talent, walked into rooms and got kicked out just as fast because they thought their skill alone was enough. Skill is like a key. It can unlock a door, it can give you access. But the thing about keys is they only work once to open the lock. Once you're inside, keys don't matter anymore. What matters now is whether you got the discipline, the consistency, and the willpower to prove you belong there. Will is what earns you a seat at the table. Will is what keeps you in the room when everybody else is watching to see if you can back up what got you there in the first place. I know people who had the skill to get drafted, the skill to get signed, the skill to be chosen. But when the lights came on, when the pressure got heavy, when the grind became real, their skill wasn't enough to sustain them. They couldn't handle the weight of the opportunity. The gift got them inside the room, but the lack of will pushed them back out. And then you wonder why the people who weren't the most skilled are still standing, still succeeding, still dominating. It's because they had the will to keep showing up, keep working, keep improving, keep proving they deserve to be in that room. You see, the world don't reward you for getting inside. The world rewards you for staying inside. And staying requires showing up when you don't feel like it. Staying requires humility to keep learning, even when you think you know it all. Staying requires fighting off complacency, fighting off laziness, fighting off distraction. Because the moment you stop grinding, the moment you stop pushing, there's somebody else right outside that door with less skill but more will, waiting to take your spot. I've walked into rooms that I had no business being in. Rooms filled with people with bigger degrees, more connection, more money, more influence. And at first, I felt like an imposter, like I didn't belong. But you know what? My will kept me in there. My determination to study harder, prepare deeper, and outwork everybody in the room made sure when the doors opened, I wasn't just a guest. I became a resident. You may get in by chance, but you stayed by choice. You stayed because you refused to get outworked. Too many of you think once you got in there and the work is over. You think the door opening is the finish line. Nah, that's just the starting line. You haven't even proven anything yet. People are watching you. They want to know, can this person deliver? Can this person handle the pressure? Can this person be consistent? And if the answer is no, you're going right back out that same door you walked in. Let me give you an example. You ever seen a singer with a hit song? That talent got them on the charts. The skill got them the attention. But what happens after that? Do they have the will to keep making music, to keep grinding in the studio, to keep growing as an artist? Or do they fade out, one hit wonder, because the skill got them noticed, but they didn't have the will to stay relevant? It's the same in sports, the same in business, the same in school, the same in life. You can get in, but will you stay in? That depends on willpower. The reason why what keeps you in the room is because once you're inside, the environment changes. It's not about being talented anymore because everybody in that room is talented. You think you're the only one with skill? No. Everybody in the room got skill. Everybody in the room was good enough to get there. So now it's not about talent, it's about heart. Who's willing to put in the extra hours? Who's willing to sacrifice? Who's willing to keep going when everybody else wants to stop? That's the person who lasts. You can fake talent for a moment, but you can't fake will. Will shows up in your work ethic. Will shows up in your preparation. Will shows up in your consistency. Will shows up in your character. Will is what makes people say, yeah, this person belongs here. And if you don't have it, you'll get exposed. I remember telling a group of students one time, a skill might get you into college, but will is what gets you that degree. You can't show up on natural talent alone. You can't just rely on being smart. You have to grind through the papers, the exams, the deadlines. You have to push when you're tired, when your brain hurts, when your body wants to quit. That's not skill anymore. That's will. And the same principle applies everywhere. You need to stop thinking the door is the goal. The door is just the beginning. You need to focus on staying, not just getting in. And staying means you show up even when nobody claps for you. Staying means you put in work even when the spotlight is gone. Staying means you don't relax just because you made it inside. If anything, you grind harder once you're in because now you got something to lose. And that's the difference maker. When you get in, you relax or do you double down? The people who last, the people who build legacies, the people who dominate year after year, those are the ones who said, I'm not satisfied just being here. I'm gonna work like I don't belong until I prove beyond a doubt that I do. That's will. And that's why they're still standing when everybody else who thought talent was enough has faded away. Will is the power to keep grinding when skill isn't enough. And make no mistake about it, there will come a point in your journey where skill alone will not carry you. You can be the most talented person in the room, the one everybody talks about, the one people say is destined for greatness. But at some point, your talent is going to meet its limit. At some point, you're going to hit a wall where your natural ability can't push you any further. That's the moment that separates the people who make it from the people who don't. That's the moment where it will steps in. Everybody loves the easy part of the journey, the part where your skills shine, where everything looks smooth, where you don't even have to try that hard to look good. But life ain't going to let you live on easy forever. There's always going to be resistance. There's always going to be a test. And when you hit that test, when you hit that wall, Your skill can't save you. It's your will that determines if you break through or if you turn back. Think about it. How many people do you know who started strong, who looked like they had everything? They had the talent, they had the potential, they had all the gifts. People were betting on them. But when it got hard, they disappeared. Why? Because their skill was enough to get them started, but it wasn't enough to keep them going when the grind got real. And that's where what separates the real from the fake. Will is not glamorous. Will is not pretty. Will is those long nights when you're tired, when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, no claps, no recognition, but you still put the work in. Will is those early mornings when you wake up and your body says, I stay in bed, but your spirit says to get up. Will is those moments when you're losing, when nothing is going your way, but you decide you're not going to stop because you believe something greater is on the other side of pain. Skill makes things easy, but what embraces the difficulty. Will says, I know this is hard, but I'm harder. I know this is tough, but I'm tougher. I know the mountain is high, but my will is higher. That's why some people make it to the top while others fall off halfway. It's not about who had the most ability. It's about who had the most heart. I've been in places where I knew my skill wasn't enough. I wasn't the smartest in the room. I wasn't the most talented. But you couldn't outwill me. You couldn't outgrind me. You couldn't outlast me. I made a decision that when skill ran out, I was going to dig deeper, push harder, sacrifice more, and I was going to keep going until I broke through. That's will. You got to understand, talent has limits, but will doesn't. Skill can only take you so far. It's like fuel in a car. Eventually it runs out. But will is like renewable energy. It doesn't stop. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you push through pain, the more you push through setbacks, the more you push through obstacles, the stronger your will becomes. And once you build that type of willpower, there's nothing on earth that can stop you. Let me give you an example. You ever seen a fighter step in the ring? In the first couple of rounds, skill shines, technique, speed, power. That's talent. But when the fight drags into the later rounds, when both fighters are tired, when their bodies are breaking down, that's when willpower takes over. That's when you find out who really wants it more. It's not about who's the most skilled anymore. It's about who's willing to take the pain, who's willing to push through exhaustion, who's willing to keep fighting even when their body is screaming at them to stop. That's will. Life works the same way. You might start with a nice little plan, your skill carrying you through, people impressed with what you can do. But then life is going to punch you in the mouth. Life is going to knock you down. Life is going to test you in ways you never imagined. And when that moment comes, your skill won't be enough to get you back up. The only thing that's going to make you rise again is your will. And don't get it twisted. Everybody is going to face that moment. Nobody escapes it. Everybody, no matter how talented, eventually at wall. The difference is some people quit when they hit it, and some people decide to break through it. And the ones who break through aren't always the most gifted. They're just the ones who refuse to stop. Will is what allows you to keep moving when the money isn't coming in. Will is what allows you to keep studying when you keep failing tests. Will is what allows you to keep practicing when the coach still won't put you in the game. Will is what allows you to keep dreaming when life keeps throwing nightmares at you. Will is what keeps you grinding when skill isn't enough. You got to stop thinking talent is your ticket. Talent is only the invitation. Talent might open a few doors, but when the doors start to close on you, when life starts pressing down on you, will is the only thing that's going to hold you up. Will is your anchor when the storm comes. Will is your engine when the tank is empty. Will is your voice when the doubt gets too loud. I need you to decide right now that you're not going to let skill be your ceiling. I need you to decide that you're going to build a will so strong, so unshakable, so unbreakable that even when skill fails, you keep going. I need you to decide that when you hit that wall, and trust me, you will hit it, you won't stop, you won't quit, you won't turn around. You'll push through it, climb over it or break it down, but you'll keep moving forward. That's what will does. That's the power of will. Talent shines for a moment, but willpower lasts for a lifetime. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. Talent is flashy. Talent gets attention. Talent makes people clap and say, oh, wow, you're amazing. But here's the problem. Talent is temporary. Talent is like a spark. It can light up the room for a second, but if there's no fuel, that spark dies out. Willpower, though, willpower is the fire that keeps burning long after the applause stops. Willpower is the thing that sustains you when talent has faded and people have forgotten your name. I see it all the time. Someone comes on the scene with crazy talent. They shine bright. They're the new sensation. Everybody's talking about them. They're trending. They're everywhere. And then a year later, where are they? Gone. You don't hear their name anymore. They disappeared because they thought talent was enough to keep them in the game. They didn't understand that talent only shines for a moment. But it's willpower, the grind, the discipline, the consistency that makes sure your light never goes out. Think about music. Anybody can have a hit record. That first song blows up, and suddenly they're a star. But the question is, can you do it again? Can you keep producing when the pressure is heavy? Can you keep writing, keep recording, keep creating when nobody's checking for you anymore? The ones who last, the ones who have careers that span decades, they're not just talented, they're relentless. They don't depend on the moment, they build a lifetime. It's the same in sports. You see athletes come in, rookies with incredible skill. Everybody says, this kid is the future. They shine for a season or two, but then you look back 5, 10 years later, and they're gone. They're forgotten. Meanwhile, the ones who didn't even start with the same level of raw talent, the ones who weren't the fastest or the strongest, they're still around. Why? Because willpower doesn't fade. Willpower doesn't rely on genetics. Willpower doesn't rely on opportunity. Willpower relies on choice. Every single day, they made the choice to keep showing up, to keep grinding, to keep improving. That's why they last. I remember watching Kobe Bryant talk about his work ethic. He said he'd get up at 4 a.m., put in more hours before most players even woke up. Now, Kobe was talented, no doubt, but it wasn't his talent that made him a legend. It was his willpower. It was his decision to outwork everybody else. It was his refusal to settle for shining in a moment when he knew he could build a lifetime legacy. And now people don't just remember him for highlights. They remember him for a mindset. That's willpower. Talent is fragile. It depends on conditions. It depends on whether you feel good, whether things are going your way, whether you still got that edge. But willpower is unbreakable because it doesn't depend on conditions. It's a decision you make in the dark when nobody's watching, when there's no crowd, no spotlight, no recognition. Willpower says, I'm going to keep going regardless of how I feel, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of whether people believe in me or not. That's why it lasts. You can fool people with talent. You can fool people with talent. You can impress them for a while. You can put on a show, but you can't fool time. Time will expose whether you are built on talent or built on willpower. Because over time, talent fades, distractions come, life tests you. And if you don't have willpower, you're going to crumble. But if you do, time becomes your ally. Time shows the world that you're not just a moment, you're a movement. I've lived this. People looked at me early on and said, you're gifted, you're talented, you're a natural, and maybe I had some ability, but what they didn't see was the willpower. They didn't see the hours of reading, the nights of writing, the mornings of preparing, the years of failure, rejection, and pain I pushed through. My talent got people's attention, but it was my willpower that made sure I didn't fade away like so many others. I'm still here because I chose to keep going once people would have quit. And I'm telling you right now, you got to decide what kind of life you want. Do you want to shine for a moment, or do you want to last for a lifetime? Do you want to be a shooting star, bright for a second, then gone, or do you want to be the sun, showing up every single day, consistent, reliable, unshakable? Talent might make you a star. Talent might make you a star, but willpower makes you a legend. Look at the people history remembers. It's not just because they were talented. It's because they endured. It's because they stayed in the game when others left. It's because their willpower outlasted the critics, outlasted the obstacles, outlasted the season. And now their names live forever, not because of a moment, but because of a lifetime of refusing to quit. And you got to stop chasing moments and start building a lifetime. You got to stop thinking one good performance, one good idea, one good opportunity is enough. It's not enough. The question is, can you keep showing up when the applause fades? Can you keep shining when nobody's looking? Can you keep grinding year after year? decade after decade, building something that lasts. That's willpower. Talent is borrowed. It can be taken from you, ignored, forgotten. Willpower is yours forever. Nobody can take it from you because nobody can control your choices but you. And every time you choose discipline over excuses, every time you choose persistence over quitting, every time you choose to grind over comfort, you're proving that your light is not just a momentary spark. It's a lifetime flame. So when people ask me what separates the great from the average, I don't say talent. I say willpower. Talent makes you famous for a season, but willpower makes you impactful for generations. Talent might get you remembered for a highlight, but willpower makes sure your legacy outlives you. Talent shines for a moment, but willpower lasts for a lifetime. When that alarm clock goes off before the sun even rises, your body is going to whisper, stay in bed, you deserve more rest. But will is the voice that shouts back, get up, we've got work to do. Will is the force that pushes you to lace up your shoes when the world is still asleep, to open the book when your eyes are tired, to go that extra lap when your lungs are burning. It's the thing inside you that says, yes, I'm exhausted, but I'm not done yet. Without that inner voice, skill alone won't carry you to greatness. Because skill can shine in flashes, but will, it keeps burning through the dark hours when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is clapping, when no one is there to cheer you on. Think about it. How many people do you know who have talent, who have skill, but they're not where they should be? They had the natural gifts, but they didn't have the will to train, to sacrifice, to discipline themselves daily. That's the tragedy of wasted potential. But when you have will, it doesn't matter if you start at the bottom. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the resources, if you don't have the connections, if you don't have the perfect setup. What makes you creative? It makes you hungry. It makes you hungry. It makes you resourceful. Will is what keeps you at the library until it closes. Will is what makes you practice until your fingers hurt. Will is what makes you take rejection and turn it into fuel. And here's the thing, will isn't glamorous. People don't always see it. They see the highlight reels, they see the wins, they see the trophies, but they don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices. They don't see you saying no to the party because you got to study. They don't see you skipping the comfort to put in the grind. But that's where the battle is fought, in the shadows, in the silence, when you're all alone and no one is watching. That's when will is tested. And that's when winners are made. You can't cheat the process. You can't expect skill to carry you when you refuse to put in the unseen work. That's why so many people with less talent pass up those with more. Because the less talented individual was willing to do the dirty work, willing to outlast, willing to endure. Skill can make the race close, but will is what lets you finish first. The world is full of stories where talent gave someone an early lead, but it was will that brought the underdog across the finish line. Every single day you wake up, you've got a choice. Will you let your feelings dictate your actions, or will your willpower push you to act regardless of how you feel? Because feelings will betray you. Feelings will tell you it's too cold, too late, too early, too hard. But will tells you, I don't care how it feels. This is what must be done. And once you learn to listen to that voice, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. Because nothing and no one can break a person who refuses to quit. Ask yourself, when you're tired, do you stop or do you push? When you're rejected, do you quit or do you adjust and come back stronger? When you face setbacks, do you fold or do you fight? That's the test of will. It's not about how you perform when everything is easy, when everything is going your way. It's about how you respond when the obstacles pile up, when the pain sets in, when the path seems impossible. That's when will proves its worth. And the beautiful thing is, will is available to everyone. You don't have to be born with it like talent. You build it, you strengthen it every time you do what you said you do, even when it's hard. You sharpen it every time you show up when you don't feel like it. You grow it every time you finish something you started. Will is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the further you can go. So don't depend on skill alone. Don't fool yourself into thinking talent is enough. Because somewhere out there, someone with less talent but more will is grinding. And if you don't develop your will, they're gonna pass you. They'll take the opportunities you thought were yours. They'll climb higher, not because they were more skilled, but because they refused to stop. Will beats talent when talent doesn't work. When you wake up tomorrow, remember the bed will feel warm. Your eyes will feel heavy, your body will feel tired. But willpower doesn't care. Willpower says, I'm not controlled by how I feel. I'm controlled by what I decided. That's the mindset of champions. That's the mindset of people who don't just start, but finish. That's the mindset of people who take their skill and elevate it to mastery. Skill is the seed, but will is the soil, the water, the sunlight that makes it grow. Without will, skill dries up. Without will, skill goes unused. Without will, skill becomes wasted potential. But with will, listen to me, with will, there's no limit. You can outlast, you can outwork, you can outperform anyone. Not because you have more talent, but because you have more will. You see, applause is easy to get. People will clap for you when you show them a glimpse of your gift. They'll stand up when you put on a performance, when you score that winning shot, when you sing that note perfectly, when you solve that problem faster than anyone else. Applause is instant. Applause is loud. Applause feels good. But applause is temporary, it fades. And if all you're chasing in life is the sound of clapping hands, you're gonna find yourself empty when the crowd goes home. Respect, on the other hand, doesn't come from what you do once. It comes from what you do consistently. Respect doesn't come from a moment. It comes from a lifetime. Respect is earned when you show up day after day, when you grind when nobody's watching, when you do the hard work without a stage, without a spotlight, without anybody clapping for you. That's why I tell you, skill might get you the applause, but only will can earn you respect. You know why? Because people respect struggle. They respect sacrifice. They respect pain endured and obstacles overcome. They respect the one who doesn't quit. See, skill impresses people, but what inspires people, that's the difference. Anyone can be impressed by your talent, but when they see your will, when they see you fight through the storm, when they see you refuse to quit after being knocked down 10 times, that's when respect is born. Warren, respect doesn't come because you can do something others can't. It comes because you refuse to stop doing it no matter what comes against you. Think about it. You see a boxer step into the ring. A first round, second round, he's looking sharp. The crowd is cheering for him, clapping every time he lands a punch. That's applause. But then in the 7th round, he gets knocked down. He's bleeding. He's hurting. The referee starts counting and everybody thinks it's over. But then against all odds, he pulls himself back up. He wipes the blood off his face, looks his opponent in the eyes, and keeps fighting. The crowd goes wild, not because of his skill, but because of his will. That's when applause transforms into respect. Some of you are living your lives chasing applause, trying to get people to like you, trying to get people to notice you. But let me tell you something, applause fades. People clap today, they forget tomorrow. Respect though lasts. Respect echoes. Respect doesn't leave when the noise dies down. You don't get respect by showing talent once. You get it by showing grit always. When you've got will, you're willing to go through the dark seasons without an audience. You're willing to put in work in silence. You're willing to grind without needing validation. And here's the truth. When you keep doing that long enough, the same people who once clapped for you will now stand for you. They'll respect your journey, your consistency, your refusal to stop. Applause is what people give you when they enjoy what you do. Respect is what they give you when they admire who you are. See, I've been in rooms where people clap for me, but I've also been in rooms where people told me, I respect you. And let me tell you, that second one is different. Because applause is for a moment, but respect is for a lifetime. Applause says you entertain me. Respect says you changed me. Applause says I enjoyed your performance. Respect says I believe in your character. And that comes only from will. Skill can get you in the door, yes. People will clap when you show off your talent. But when the lights are off, when the stage is empty, when there's no microphone, will you still grind? Will you still whine? Will you still work? Will you still chase your goals when there's no one to cheer for you? That's what separates the skill from the respected. Respect is built on the foundation of discipline. Respect is built when you keep your word, when you stay consistent, when you live with integrity. Respect is built when you get up even after failing. Respect is built when you sacrifice the temporary pleasure for the permanent prize. And none of that comes from skill alone. It all comes from will. Some of you have skill, but you're addicted to applause. You only perform when people are watching. You only give effort when there's an audience. And that's why you don't have respect yet. Because respect doesn't come from what you do when the crowd is loud. It comes from what you do when the room is silent. The world respects the person who trains when nobody else is around, who wakes up early when everybody else is sleeping, who refuses to quit when everybody else is walking away. That's why you see people who maybe don't have the most skill, but they have the most respect. They may not be the fastest runner, but they show up to every race. They may not be the smartest in the class, but they study harder than anyone else. They may not be the most talented musician, but they practice until their fingers bleed, and you respect that. Because deep down, we all know will is greater than skill. Talent entertains us, but determination moves us. Respect isn't loud, it's quiet. Respect isn't instant, it's earned over time. Respect doesn't come from the flash, it comes from the fight. And if you want to be more than just talent, if you want to be more than just applauded, you need to develop will. You need to have that inner drive that says, I don't care if nobody sees me. I don't care if nobody claps for me. I don't care if nobody recognizes me. I will not stop until I reach my goal. The truth is, the world doesn't remember the most skilled. They remember the most determined. People don't respect you for what you can do once. They respect you for what you're willing to do forever. And that's why, at the end of the day, applause will fade, but respect will remain. You can look around at life and see thousands of people with talent, with skills, with gifts, and still wonder why they're not on top. You can watch athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, people who had all the right tools, but somehow didn't reach their full potential. And then you see others who maybe didn't start with as much talent, who weren't the smartest, who weren't the fastest, who weren't the most skilled, but they end up winning. They end up dominating, they end up living the life everyone else dreamed of. Why? Because they weren't just skilled, they were determined. Winners are not the most skilled, they're the most determined. That's the difference. See, skill can impress people for a moment, but determination is what carries you when life hits back. Skill will get people to clap for you, but determination is what makes them respect you because they see you don't quit. You might not have started with the most talent, but you decided, I will outlast, I will outwork, I will outfight. Determination says, you can knock me down 9 times, but I'm standing up 10. And that's what life respects. It respects will. It respects fight. Every single day, there are millions of people who wake up with skills, but only a fraction wake up with determination. That's why you see some of the most skilled people stuck, while others with half the ability are moving forward, breaking barriers, and reaching new levels. The truth is, skill without determination is like a car with no gas. You can polish it, admire it, but it's not going anywhere. Determination is the fuel. It's what makes skill come alive. When you're determined, you're not worried about who's better than you because you know nobody's going to outlast you. Determination makes you dangerous because you stop comparing yourself to people with more talent and start focusing on giving more effort. And effort beats talent. When talent refuses to work hard, you may not be the best, but if you refuse to quit, eventually you pass up the ones who gave up. Look at history. Look at every success story. Behind every winner, you will find determination. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team, but his determination made him the greatest basketball player alive. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television, but her determination built an empire. Oh, they weren't the most skilled in the beginning, but they were the most determined. That's why their names live forever. See, winners don't stop when they get tired. Winners stop when they're finished. They don't measure effort by feelings. They measure effort by results. Determination means you're willing to go when others stop. It means when the crowd leaves, you're still grinding. It means when it hurts, when it's lonely, when it looks impossible, you say, I will not quit. I will not stop. I will not give in until I get what I came for. Determination is waking up earlier than everybody else. Determination is staying later than everybody else. Determination is putting in the hours, the sweat, the pain, because you refuse to let go of your dream. People may doubt you. People may laugh at you. People may walk away from you, but determination means you keep moving forward anyway. It means the rejection, the failure, the mistakes, they don't break you, they build you. Every setback fuels your determination to come back stronger. And here's the thing, life will test your determination. It will knock you down, it will close doors, it will put obstacles in your path. Life wants to see if you're serious. Life doesn't reward people just because they're talented. Life rewards the ones who refuse to stop. That's why so many talented people never reach their potential. They had the gift, but they didn't have the grit. Winners, on the other hand, may not have started with the biggest gift, but they had grit, and grit keeps you in the fight until you win. Ask yourself, what are you relying on right now, skill or determination? Because if you're relying only on your skill, the moment things get tough, you're going to fold. But if you got determination, it doesn't matter how tough it gets, you're going to stand up again. Skill might help you shine on your good days, but determination keeps you going on worse days. And life is full of worse days. That's why determination matters more. People love to talk about how good they are, how much talent they have. But at the end of the day, winners are the ones who don't stop. Winners are the ones who keep going when it hurts. Winners are the ones who keep moving forward when the odds are stacked against them. Winners are the ones who say, I may not be the best, but I will not be outlasted. Determination is not glamorous. It doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it looks like sweat. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like rejection. Sometimes it looks like rejection after rejection. But determination always leads to victory because determination refuses to surrender. Determination makes average people great, and it makes skilled people legends. So you have to decide, do you just want to be talented or do you want to be remembered? Do you just want to show skill for a moment or do you want to leave a legacy? Because legacies aren't built on skill alone, they're built on determination. Winners aren't remembered because they were the most skilled. They're remembered because they were the most determined. They don't know how to stop. They don't know how to give up. They don't know how to accept failure as the final answer. You might not be the most talented. You might not have the most resources. You might not have the biggest network. But if you have determination, you have something more powerful than all of that. Determination can't be bought. It can't be handed down. Determination is inside you, and it's your responsibility to bring it out. You have to make the decision every single day that no matter how hard it gets, you're not quitting. No matter how tired you feel, you're not stopping. No matter how much it hurts, you're not walking away. That decision over and over builds the kind of determination that makes champions. And let me tell you, life is going to test you. It's going to throw roadblocks in your way. It's going to bring pain, disappointment, betrayal, and loss. But determination is what allows you to take all of that and still move forward. Determination is what makes you look at obstacles and say, yeah, this is not the end of me. This is just part of my story. Determination embraces the struggle and uses it as fuel. Every no you hear, every door that shuts, every person who leaves. Determination turns all of that into power. When you understand determination, you realize you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to win every battle. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to be committed to keep going. You just have to wake up every day and say, I'm not done. You just have to outlast the ones who quit. Because at the end of the day, it's not always the fastest, the smartest, or the most gifted who cross the finish line. It's the ones who refuse to stop running. So when people look at you, let them see determination. Let them see that fire that refuses to die. Let them see the grit, the fight, the persistence. Because when your determination is strong enough, there's nothing, no failure, no obstacle, no hardship that can keep you from reaching your destiny. Winners aren't born, winners are built. And the tool that builds them is determination. When you step into the world with a dream, everybody admires the talent. Everybody claps for the skill. But very few people ever stop to think about what sustains that talent when the stage lights go off and the crowd disappears. Skill might be the spark that gets you noticed, but it is will, the fire deep inside that keeps the flame alive when the conditions aren't favorable. Will is that invisible force that shows up when skill alone isn't enough. You can be the most gifted athlete, the most intelligent student, the most creative entrepreneur, but without the grit to keep pushing when things get hard, Those gifts eventually fade into unrealized potential. It's not what you can do when everything is lined up perfectly. It's what you do when everything is stacked against you. That's the test of will. Think about the number of people you know who had talent but never made it. We all know someone who had everything they needed to win: speed, intelligence, charisma, resources, but somehow they never capitalized on it. The reason? Lack of will. They started the journey, but when it got tough, they stopped. They let rejection define them. They let failure intimidate them, and they let comfort seduce them. Will is what keeps you running laps when your lungs are burning, studying when everyone else is asleep, practicing when nobody is watching. Will is waking up to your alarm, not because it's convenient, but because you know the dream is worth the sacrifice. Skill is visible. People applaud it. But will is invisible, and only you and God see it. Will is those moments when you say no to instant gratification, no to excuses, no to shortcuts, and yes to discipline, yes to sacrifice, yes to persistence. People see the highlights, the touchdown, the championship, the graduation, the award, but they don't see the lonely mornings, the frustrating setbacks, the countless hours of doubt that had to be fought through. That's the power of will. Skill gets you the starting line, but will is what gets you across the finish line. The difference between winners and those who fall short often isn't talent, it's endurance. Everybody wants to win, but not everybody wants to suffer. Everybody wants success, but not everybody wants the grind that comes with it. You might have skill, but do you have the will to keep fighting when the coach benches you? Do you have the will to keep building your business when sales aren't coming in? Do you have the will to keep believing in your dream when no one else supports it? That's the question that separates those who are remembered from those who are forgotten. When life pushes you, skill doesn't answer, will does. Skill doesn't keep you up at night, will does. Skill doesn't wake you up at 5 a.m., will does. Skill doesn't drag you back after a loss, will does. And will is not glamorous, it's not shiny. It's not something you can post on Instagram. Will is dirty, exhausting, unglamorous work. It's sweat, it's tears, it's frustration, it's failure followed by another attempt. But if you embrace it, if you cultivate it, will transform you into a force that cannot be stopped. There will be moments when you'll feel like giving up. That's guaranteed. There will be days when nothing goes right, when your plans collapse, when your strength fails. In those moments, your skill won't be enough. That's when will takes over. Will whispers to you, one more try, one more step, one more rep. Will doesn't care about how you feel in the moment. It cares about where you're going in the long run. It pulls you past the pain into progress. It turns doubt into determination and obstacles into opportunity. The most dangerous thing you can do in life is rely on talent alone. Because talent without will is wasted potential. But will without talent still finds a way to win. The world is full of people who weren't the most gifted, weren't the most intelligent, weren't the most athletic, but they had an unbreakable will. They refused to quit. They refused to back down. And that persistence made them unstoppable. That's why you see people rise from poverty to greatness, from obscurity to influence, from rejection to triumph. They had the will. You need to decide right now, are you going to let your skill define you, or are you going to let your will shape you? Because skill might get you a job, but will builds a career. Skill might win you a game, but will win you a championship. Skill might get you applause, but will earn you respect. Skill is about the present, but will is about the future. Skill can fade with time, but will grow stronger with every challenge you overcome. So I ask you again, yes, you have skill, but do you have will? Do you have the hunger to keep going when you're tired? The courage to keep fighting when you're outmatched? The discipline to keep working when there's no reward in sight? That's the difference maker. That's the fuel that will carry you to places skill alone could never take you. And if you can answer yes, if you can build that will and marry it to your skill, there will be no mountain too high, no obstacle too great, and no dream too impossible for you to achieve. You got skill and you got will, but the question I got for you today is, can you show up every single day? Can you be consistent when the cameras aren't rolling, when nobody's clapping for you, when no one is patting you on the back? See, skill might get you noticed, will might get you started, but consistency, that's what turns everything you're doing into a legacy. Anybody can show up once. Anybody can get excited for a season. But it's the ones who can keep showing up day after day, year after year, when it's boring, when it's hard, when it hurts. That's the one who leaves their name written in the books forever. Everybody talks about greatness like it's a one-time thing. Like you show up one day, drop a masterpiece, and boom, you're great. Nah, greatness is not a moment. Greatness is a lifestyle. It's a routine. It's brushing your teeth every day. It's showing up to the gym when your body is screaming at you to stay in bed. It's studying for that exam when Netflix just dropped a new series. It's practicing those free throws, not when the championship is on the line, but when nobody's watching and it's just you and that ball. You want to know what separates the legends from the rest? It's not just talent. It's not just hunger. It's the ability to do it again and again and again until it becomes second nature. Michael Jordan didn't become the GOAT because of one game-winning shot. He became the GOAT because he never stopped practicing, never stopped working, never stopped competing. Kobe Bryant didn't just drop 81 points out of nowhere. He had routine, a lifestyle, a consistency that nobody could break. They call it the Mamba mentality. Well, let me tell you what that really means. It means he was consistent when everybody else got tired. He stayed locked in. He kept coming back. That's what you got to understand. Skill and will might make you shine for a moment, but consistency, that's what makes the light last forever. Some of you keep asking why it hasn't happened yet. Why you're not at the top yet. Why people keep passing you up. It's not because you don't have the skill. It's not because you don't have the will. It's because you quit too soon. You show up for a week, then you stop. You go hard for a month, then you get tired. You think success is about bursts of energy. No, success is about stamina. It's about longevity. It's about doing the small things over and over again until those small things add up to something massive. Listen to me. Consistency is boring. Yeah, I said it. Consistency is not glamorous. It's waking up at the same time, hitting the same reps, studying the same material, practicing the same moves. It's repetitive. And that's why most people can't do it. They get bored. They want something new, something flashy. But let me tell you something. Boring builds champion. Sir, boring builds dynasties. Boring builds legacies. Because what looks boring in the moment becomes extraordinary over a lifetime. Think about it. You don't remember somebody because they had one good day. You remember them because they did something consistently for years. Muhammad Ali, Serena Williams, Lionel Messi, they weren't one-hit wonders. They showed up again and again until nobody could deny their greatness. That's why people still chant their names. That's why their stories will outlive them. And that's what I want for you, not just success, but legacy. Not just to shine for a moment, but to shine so bright that even when you're gone, people are still talking about the work you put in. But here's the problem. You want legacy, but you don't want the grind. You want recognition, but you don't want repetition. You want fame, but you don't want faithfulness. And it doesn't work like that. Legacy is built brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. Legacy is built when you decide to go one more round. Legacy is built when you don't hit snooze. You know me, you don't hit snooze. Legacy is built when you say no to distractions and yes to discipline. That's the only way. And let me tell you this. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most gifted. You don't even have to be the smartest in the room. But if you're the most consistent, if you keep showing up long after everybody else quit, eventually you will outlast them all. Skill without consistency is wasted potential. Will without consistency is wasted energy. But skill plus will plus consistency, that's unstoppable, that's legacy. So the next time you feel tired, the next time you feel like quitting, I want you to think bigger than today. I want you to think about your children, your grandchildren, community, your name. What do you want it to mean? Started something but never finished? Or do you want people to say you left a mark so deep that they can't erase it? Consistency is the bridge between who you are and the legacy you want to leave behind. And don't get it twisted. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. You're going to mess up. You're going to have bad days. But consistency means you don't stay down. You miss one day. You get back the next day. You stumble. You get back up. You fail. You try again. Because consistency is not about being flawless. It's about being relentless, about never giving up. It's about always finding a way to keep moving forward no matter what. So I'm asking you, do you want to be remembered or do you just want to be noticed? Because if you just want to be noticed, skill will do it. Will do it. Will do it. But if you want to be remembered, if you want your name carved into history, if you want people to tell your story long after you're gone, then you need consistency. You need to show up every single day with the same hunger, the same fire, the same drive, until it becomes who you are. Listen to me. Skill alone won't take you to the top, and will alone will not sustain. The glue, the bridge, the connection between the two is called discipline. Discipline is the daily commitment, the quiet grind, the thing you do when nobody's watching. You can have all the talent in the world, but without discipline, you're gonna waste it. You can have all the passion, all the fire, but you don't put it into a system. If you don't lock it down with discipline, that fire will burn out. Discipline is the bridge, and if you don't cross it, you will always stay on the side of potential, never reaching the land of greatness. I've seen too many people with insane skills, the kind of ability that makes your jaw drop, but they lack discipline. They show up late. They don't practice when they don't feel like it. They cut corners, they take shortcuts, and then they wonder why somebody with half their skill, somebody less talented, surpasses them. And it's not because the other person was more gifted, it's because they were more disciplined. The truth is, discipline will beat raw skill every single time. You can have skill and no discipline, and you'll fall. You can have discipline and no major skill, and you'll rise. Why? Because discipline builds skill, discipline sharpens will. Discipline sharpens will, discipline's the multiple. You know what discipline really is? It's the ability to tell yourself a no in a moment, so you can tell yourself yes a later. It's saying no to staying in bed, so you can say yes to chasing your dream. It's saying no to distractions, so you can say yes to purpose. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's repetitive, it's boring sometimes. It's hard, but it's what makes the difference. Everybody loves the highlight reel, but nobody talks about the discipline behind it. The late nights, the early morning, the sacrifice, the repetition until you can't get it wrong. Discipline is the grind that makes success look easy on the outside. Think about it. Every great athlete you've ever admired, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Cristiano Ronaldo, Serena Williams, they had skill, sure, but what made them legends was discipline. Kobe would practice for hours before the team even showed up. Ronaldo still trains like he's 18 years old. Serena pushed through pain, through doubt, through setbacks with discipline. Their skills were sharpened by their discipline and their will was sustained by it. Without that bridge, they'd just be names. With it, they became legacy. Some of you listening right now, you've been stuck because you've been relying too much on how you feel. You practice when you feel like it. You study when you feel like it. You show up when it's convenient. That's not discipline. That's emotion. And emotions will betray you. Emotions come and go, but discipline stays. Discipline says, I don't care how you feel. We're still gonna do this. Discipline says, are we committed so we finish? Discipline says, you can cry, but you can't quit. And that's the bridge that takes you from having the ability to actually becoming unstoppable. You gotta stop waiting for motivation, because motivation is temporary. Motivation is like a spark. It lights you up for a moment, but then it fades. Discipline is the firewood. Discipline is what keeps the flame burning when the spark is gone. If you only move when you're motivated, you'll never get far. But if you're disciplined, you'll keep going when it's dark, when it's cold, when it's lonely, when nobody's cheering, when nobody's watching. That's when discipline speaks louder than skill and even louder than will. Now let me tell you something real. Discipline is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to feel good every time. But neither is greatness. Neither is building a life that matters. Some of you want the results, but you don't want the process. You want the championship without the training. You want the recognition without the repetition. You want the spotlight without the sweat. But discipline doesn't work like that. Discipline requires you to do the small things over and over until they add up to something massive. Discipline is the price you pay for the future you want. When you wake up tomorrow, don't ask yourself if you feel like grinding. Ask yourself what your goals demand. Don't ask yourself if you're in the mood. Ask yourself what your discipline requires. Because discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline only cares about the mission. And when you learn to live by mission over mood, you become dangerous. That's when you stop being average. That's when you stop being ordinary. That's when you become the type of person who cannot be stopped. Here's the truth. Skill will open doors for you. Willpower will push you through them. But discipline will keep you in the room. Without discipline, you'll get opportunities, but you won't hold on to them. Without discipline, you'll get started, but you won't finish. Without discipline, you'll have dreams, but you'll never see them become reality. Discipline is the bridge. And every single day, you either cross it, or you don't cross it, or you don't. So I'm asking you today, how bad do you want it? Now, are you willing to sacrifice comfort for discipline? Are you willing to put consistency over convenience? Are you willing to do the hard thing, the boring thing, the unglamorous thing every single day until it becomes who you are? Because if you are, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. You can have average skill, but if you got discipline and will, you will rise. You will win. You will leave a mark. Stop playing with your talent. Stop wasting your willpower. Build your bridge. Build your discipline. And when you do, you won't just have skill. You won't just have will. You'll have legacy,